Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about a hotly debated topic. Is it better to be relaxed to react, or is it better to really tense up your hand through your shot for fast micro adjustments? The answer really is neither, and you need to find what works best for you. So when you're correcting recoil, you'll either do it through a nice fluid movement, or you snap consistently. Or perhaps you kind of do it in between. I recommend learning both of the extremes and finding what is most comfortable for you, or again, even a middle ground. Not going to lie, my first way of aiming was obviously flicking and snapping only, aka that sniper in me. Learning to smooth out my aim over the past year has been very, very difficult for me. One thing I do when I track, towards the end, when I become OCD of running out of a mouse pad, I start just micro flicking like crazy, and I just start undershooting. Let me show an exaggerated example. I'm positive I did this in the Kovacs video I just uploaded. You can see it there. So realize this about your aim, your flaws, and the work to correct it. Remember I said the biggest advantage of a new FPS aimer is they have a fresh plate to work off of? It has taken me forever to work out and break some of these bad habits. So let's discuss the pros and cons of both. After, I'm just going to show my hand and talk through the movements briefly. A variable to consider is the fact that your sensitivity will impact how smooth or relaxed you are, depending of course on how fast or how slow it is. Now, for smooth aim, which is relaxed, the pros, much easier on your muscles. It can maintain higher damage, or DPS, if your crosshair is directly on the target. The cons of this, it's harder to catch up to a much faster target if you're too relaxed, and it's harder to adjust afterwards to a sharp 80-80 movement span. Overall, my findings is that this is a great style for tracking, but make adjustments to relax to tense can be really tough. I believe there is where you need to have that middle ground. But just imagine going from stressed to then relaxed, and then stressed, then relaxed. It's easier said than done. Another thing when you're running a high sensitivity is that your hand can be extremely tense, because under a high sensitivity, you have to really tense up your hand to keep a fluid movement. So this can really apply to a lower sensitivity as well. So think about that spectrum. So if we talk, again, high sensitivity, meaning you may have to be super tense on your hand to have a smooth, relaxed aim, quote unquote. And if a low sensitivity, obviously you have to be more relaxed to kind of smooth it out. So let's go into micro adjusting, aka more tense aim, just always micro flicking. So the pros is that it's easier to keep up with sudden targets moving around because you simply have to correct your shot with micro flicks. It can be great for sharp sudden movements. Now the cons, it can cause overshooting and undershooting. It can be a loss of damage and DPS because your crosshair is not always on the target. There could be the instance and that one bullet could miss because you're still micro flicking. Now, again, if you're running a low sensitivity, this is going to be a lot more tension to keep micro flicking, right? Now for a, let's say, quote unquote, higher sensitivity, it's going to probably be more relaxed. So keep in mind, you're not always having to engage your hand, so you're always going to maybe perhaps just make flick, 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 little movements. So that's kind of important to note, that there, even though I just discussed pros and cons, that there are some variables of running, again, a higher sensitivity and a lower sensitivity. Now let's do a quick visual demonstration on what this can look like. This is going to be strictly visual. I just want to talk through the hand movements, and it may be exaggeration of the movement overall, so it can be picked up on camera. I'm going to be zoomed in as much as I can, that just will look nice. Alright, so let's hop over to that. Okay, now that we've kind of talked through a few things, let us discuss the movement that you see on screen. So obviously a smooth movement. Obviously I'm using fingertip grip, and of course if you have questions about a grip style, I put a video together talking about fingertip, talking about palm, obviously it goes to the back of your palm, and of course talking about claw, which hits the back of the arch but still has a claw. But nonetheless, I use fingertip grip, which is a very tense style already, but nonetheless, when you're moving your hand, you know, you want to have a smooth movement, but keep in mind, keeping a smooth movement even on a low sensitivity for this can be quite intense. So you see, obviously with smooth tracking, this is what we're talking about relaxed. And if you're a palm, pretty easy, you know, kind of easy going with a palm grip, right? Now, if we were talking about the micro shots that occur, if you're just kind of tensing up, kind of you see a little bit more of a, it's exaggerated, but nonetheless, you kind of see a little bit more of a skip to it, you know, because you're flicking. You're smooth, but then you're making a fast adjustment to kind of catch up to your target. That's a dramatic version of what it would look like. So if I was tracking And I've seen myself do this where I start to flick towards the end, or like you start to see a faster movement occur with your overall hand, right? So this is what I'm talking about. Now, the difficulty here, if you're a low sensitivity player and then you need to flick to somebody to make an adjustment, notice how the 80-80 swing can be very smooth, but then you need to make a sharp adjustment right after to flick to that individual target. So low sensitivity, that can be pretty challenging to do, especially when you're trying to track somebody who's very fast in front of you, like a game like Apex Legends or something like Quake. Now, for a high sensitivity player, your movement can be even just a little bit slow or a little bit delayed, and you'll still be able to flick to that target and still make a solid movement overall. So this is the difference between the two kind of visually. So if you were to see it without my hand, obviously if it was a lot smoother, then you would see just a constant level of DPS or damage going out. Right now, if we remove this, smooth this, and you're just kind of maybe micro flicking, kind of just, if we were trying to look at the mouse specifically, you would kind of see just kind of a little bit of a stutter, a little bit of a flicking, because you're constantly correcting. And that's not a bad thing either. Sometimes you may just do a smooth and then flick right after. That's kind of like a character like Overwatch, where I'm blanking on her name right now, and I apologize, kind of doing this just live, just kind of demonstrating. But nonetheless, I know that she teleports around consistently, and that can be very hard for a low sensitivity player, especially when you need to make that quick micro adjustment and kind of flick around. But nonetheless, again, be sure to leave a like for these type of videos. I love talking about aim, helping other individuals help their aim. I've learned a lot through my journey as I have improved consistently, and I'd love for all of you guys to get better. Don't get discouraged. Remember that all of this does take time. It can be very, it's all about finding what works best for you. So again, leave a like, subscribe. Love to put more videos out. If you got a recommendation, I have a good video that I'm putting out that's motivational on Tuesday. I don't know what I'm putting out for Sunday and Monday quite yet. I'm still thinking on it. I do have a bunch of ideas that you guys have typed, but if you guys have ideas, put them in the comment section down below, because I love to talk high level about all this. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.